Today we're going to talk about globalization. So globalization has different effects in every country, depending on their level of development, resources, and the governance. So this video will explore how globalization impacts two different countries, the Japan and the Philippines. So Japan is a developed country. It uses globalization to expand its technology, trade, and cultural influence around the world. Meanwhile, our country, the Philippines, is a developing country. It benefits from global markets and cultural exchange, but still it faces some challenges like economic dependence and governance issues. By two by comparing the two of these countries, we can understand how globalization works and why its impact is never the same to every country.
So now let's discuss about the governance of a developed country and a developing one, which is the developed country is the Japan and the developing one is the Philippines. So the image compares how Philippines and Japan's are governed. So first is the Japan. Stable political institutions, strong rule of law. So while the Philippines is governance shaped by global institution or the UN, IMF, and World Bank. So Japan has a stable government and a strong legal system, while Philippines governance is influenced by global institutions. Next, active role in global governance or the G7, WTQ, or UN. So Japan plays an active role in global organization, while Philippines often relies on foreign aid and global agreements. So Philippines depends on foreign aid and agreements. Next is selectively adopts global trends while representing national interests. So Japan chooses which global trends to follow to protect its own interest, while Philippines is issues with corruption and political instability influence foreign investment confidence. So Philippines struggles with corruption and political instability, which impacts foreign investment. Lastly, governance relatively resistant to foreign interference. So Japan is resistant to outside interference in its governance, while Philippines, globalization pressures the country to adapt reform for transparency and efficiency. So Philippines faces pressures from globalization to make its government more transparent and efficient. So that would be all about the governance of a developed country, which is the Japan, and a developing country, which is the Philippines. Thank you.
So let's go for peace. Pacifist Constitution post World War II avoids military intervention. Pacifist Constitution, Japan avoids war and military intervention after World War II. Focuses on diplomacy, foreign aid and UN peacekeeping missions. Diplomacy and aid helps through foreign aid negotiations and UN peacekeeping or non-combat routes. Maintain alliances, notably with the US for defense. Alliances relies on defense ties, especially with the US. Plays a role in international peace through economic and diplomatic channels. Peace rule promotes peace using economy, trade, and diplomacy instead of war.
Next, let's move to the Philippines. And for the Philippines, peace promotes peaceful relations, build good ties in Asia Pacific, and works closely with partners like the US and the ASEAN. And in internal security issues, it deals with local conflicts, terrorism in Mindanao, and cross-border crimes. While in relies on alliances, it depends on allies for military upgrade and defense help. And last, for globalization, it joins peacekeeping efforts but also faces risk from global threats.
Good day, everyone. Today I will be reporting about the cultures of Japan and the Philippines and how globalization has shaped them. Let us begin with Japan. Japanese culture is one of the most recognizable cultures worldwide. Through anime, manga, cuisine, and also the fashion, Japan has built a very strong global influence. This is what we call soft power because instead of using force, Japan uses culture to gain respect and popularity around the world. For example, anime and manga are not only popular in Asia but also in Western culture. And also, Japanese cuisine, just like sushi and ramen, is now enjoyed almost everywhere. Now let us move on to the Philippines. Filipino culture is also widely recognized, especially through music, food, and the arts. Our festivals, hospitality, and strong family ties are admired around the world. However, unlike Japan, the Philippines is more open to outside influence. We are heavily influenced by Western and Asian cultures, such as the Hollywood movies, Korean dramas, K-pop, and even Japanese pop culture are very popular here. English proficiency is another strength of the Philippines. Because many Filipinos can speak English, we are able to connect globally through work, education, and communication. However, globalization also brings challenges. One concern is cultural dilution, where traditional and indigenous practices may slowly fade because of too much foreign influence. Despite this, we continue to hold on to our most important values, which is the faith, family, and hospitality. These traits are still at the core of what it means to be Filipino. In conclusion, both Japan and Philippines are shaped by globalization but in different ways. Japan has used globalization to strengthen its cultural exports while maintaining its traditions. On the other hand, the Philippines embraces global influences but must also work to preserve our local identity. Together, these examples shows us how globalization can both enrich and challenge a nation's culture.
Globalization has significantly shaped the economies of both Japan and the Philippines, but in different ways due to their distinct economic structures and level of development. Japan's economy is highly advanced, relying on strong technological and industrial sectors. Globalization has allowed Japanese companies like Toyota, Sony, and Panasonic to become world leaders, expanding their reach through international trade and innovation driven exports. However, this exposure also brings challenges. Japan faces competition from a rapidly developing economies such as China and South Korea, and struggles with an aging population that could hinder the future economic growth. On the other hand, the Philippine economy benefits from globalization primarily through services such as business process outsourcing or the BPO, remittances of the OFWs or the overseas Filipino workers, and the investments coming from abroad. Global connection has bolstered the technology sector, but the country remained heavily reliant on agriculture and services and imports many essential goods. So this dependence makes the Philippines vulnerable to shift in global markets, economic crisis, and changes in overseas labor demand or commodity prices.
This infographic highlights the fascinating differences between the Philippines and Japan, showcasing unique aspects of each country. So first, let's discuss the economy status of Japan and Philippines. So the image starkly uh, contrasts the economy infrastructure of Japan and the Philippines. So Japan's advance in infrastructure is symbolized by its high speed rail and representing efficiency and technological prowess. So in contrast, the Philippines' developing infrastructure is developed by uh, public utility. So this time we're going to talk about the governance of the two countries. So the image contrasts the governance of Japan and the Philippines. So Japan's governance is characterized by its stable political institutions, strong rule of law, and high public trust, which contrasts to its um, economic prosperity. So in contrast, the Philippines governance faces challenges with political stability and corruption, relying on the global uh, agreements and aid while striving to adopt reforms of transparency and efficiency. So what about the culture of these two countries? So as you can see, this image contrasts the cultural values and influence of Japan and the Philippines. So Japan's culture is noted for its strong national identity. So let's proceed to the piece of each country. So the image contrasts Japan and the Philippines' approaches to peace in the Asia Pacific region. Japan's strategy is based on its post-World War II pacifist focuses on UN peacemaking, missing and maintaining defensive. In contrast, the Philippines promotes peaceful ties through alliances with global partners, addresses its internal security challenges to contribute to regional stability.
So, in summary, Japan is a global leader in technology, exports, and cultural influence, with stable governance and peace-oriented diplomacy. So, globalization strengthens its innovation-driven economy and soft power.
In conclusion, Philippines has gained many benefits from globalization, such as job opportunities through labor exports, growth in BPO industries, and growth in strong cultural connection with other countries. However, it also faces challenges like being affected by global economic problems, struggles with good governance, and internal security issues. This shows that while globalization opens doors for progress and development, it can also make the countries dependent on other nations and vulnerable to problems happening around the world.